Hi guys, here to do an energy update. I'm being quiet because people are sleeping and I'm in my gym jam, so I'm here in prime form. I'll wait for a few people to connect and I'll talk quietly, even though my daughter, being a typical teenager, is noisy in the front of the house. I shall give you an energy update because there has been some changes astrologically speaking, and I need you guys to be mindful of this. Now, when I talk about the moon energy, I had been speaking to a lot of you guys, and I've mentioned it in the readings, that this month, in the month of October, it is very energetic. Now, a lot of things that you will notice with Pluto going direct is there is a lot of physical endings going on. Hi, Sway. Now, with those endings, it feels very anxious and it feels very unusual. Some of you, and I did speak about this last year. Hi, Dale. There was this energy where we physically felt like we had a spiritual walk-in. Now, when that occurs, you know that the old energy is gone, but you also know that the new energy is necessary inside your vessel, inside your body, but it feels very uneasy. Hi. Now, with that, a lot of us are going to get to a point where we're going to feel more grounded to do that, especially those of you that have been doing purging and going through the awakening process probably over the last 3 years. However, and here's the catch, with the astrology, what you will find is people around you will be very triggered because the energy of Mars is there with Aries. Now, I'm not saying Mars is in Aries, but what I'm trying to say is there is this aggression that is potentially around at the moment, where people are coming from different mindsets, and those who haven't gone through the aspect of the complete spiritual awakening may be displaying anger, resent, bitterness, and not being able to check their energy because they're unaware of that. They haven't done that work. So you're going to have to be very mindful as to that. Hi, Dale. Now, you will notice a lot of endings, okay? And I've even physically noticed this majorly within the last 3 days, massive endings. But some of them have been things that energetically, well and truly already ended, but you've just had this cognitive clarity about it and really allowed that ending to happen in some shape or form. And it can be in many different shapes and forms. Now, obviously, because we have the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn, it's going to cover energies and areas of your childhood, of family, of finances, of your direction, your home. Another thing you need to understand is with manifestation, and I mentioned this to the lady that I talked to tonight, I'll keep her name confidential. What you do find is when you're seeing number synchronicities, and this can be at a particular stage in the journey where you are noticing number patterns and you're noticing signs and synchronicities from universe, you wonder why on earth you're seeing them because you're already in your awareness about it. It's because you have reached a point where you're not requiring them, so universe is making you non-codependent on it. It's that you are the faith and you are the manifestation, but it's purging that as a necessity, because in the initial stages you potentially were needing that confirmation from source and universe, and now you've moved beyond that point where you're physically having it and you have a knowingness about it. You're like, I understand what this is, you know, I've been doing the work, I get that. So when you're seeing it, it can become quite irritating and you're like wanting to get a restraining order on numbers. When you're seeing it, you're detaching from that because you've moved past that stage. Other people are, and especially younger children, going through aspects of ascension symptoms in 2019. So they're having awakenings and their perspective and perception's really changing. And especially other people around you. So if you have done the work, it sort of feels like you're redoing the work. Yeah, and I'm doing it quietly because twins asleep, daughter's on school holidays, making a ruckus. I've had about 7 kids here today, so I don't even know how I'm still going at this hour because I do wake up quite early. But this balance is coming, and all of us collectively are going through transformations and balances of what the new's going to be. Now, with the Pluto transit, another aspect is it's halfway through its transit. Now, we've had time to adjust in that frequency, but with Uranus and Taurus, we're only in the beginning stages of that factor. So the things that energetically we're directly connected to, this can be pastimes, hobbies, obviously with the planet being in retrograde. We're reinventing ourselves, and the things we liked doing is changing as well. It's like all of a sudden you're a hamburger queen, and now you're into your vegan, or you might have been vegan and suddenly you're craving meat. It's like just we're changing in general. It can be your hobbies and your style of furniture and wanting to change those things up. Very Taurus and Uranus, and that's what's going on with us. And it is also very spiritual in a sense as well. You're also, with this month's astrology, because Pluto is going direct, you're going to notice endings. But the key is, if it looks ugly, it doesn't mean to say the outcome's not going to be beautiful. And it's very frightening to go through that transformation. So when you're experiencing a tower moment, you're like, oh, heck, how is this an aspect of my manifestation? Understand we are a vibration. So very similar to how I explained this to my client this morning, is that if you are dragging your feet along a carpet, you can electric shock a person. It's frequency, it's energy, it's transferring. Abraham Hicks, you're going down the rapids. You're going to end down at the bottom of the rapid at some point. So do we delay the inevitable or accept the cycle of where that river is flowing us and trust in what that outcome's going to be? It may not look pretty going through that process, but on the other side of that factor, there is going to be a resolution. 9 times out of 10, when these things are happening, you have actually manifested it. But your ego is telling you, how did it's not looking pretty. So theoretically, how did I manifest this? How it's to occur, you have no control over. Where you do have control, you take divine action, direct action. When you've sent, and what happens is you've literally gone through a stage and a transition and a process, and it's imbalanced, it's not working, and you're going through the process, and you're almost sending a signal to universe, I need a solution to this problem. And you're asking Mother Nature, universe, source for the solution somehow. Good grief, I can't keep going on like this. A tower moment then occurs, and our ego tells us, well, how is that creating a solution? The panic then sets in because we're operating from the ego, and why is this happening? Is the universe punishing me? No. Vibrationally, you reached a purgatory point. You no longer in that vibrational state. You evolved beyond that point. Now, universe has taken direct action to actually resolve and transform that situation. Pluto is going to be doing this regularly to us. So the more ascended you are, the more accepting of transformations you are, the calmer that transformation will be for you. It is key, and many of us have been going through this for 3 years, so we should have understood this factor at this point. And definitely, a lot of us are wanting a better frequency and a better dynamic. Now, 2020 is very good for that. And yes, there's 2 sides to every coin. There's the good and there's the bad, and that creates the balance in universe, because we can't have that aspect of appreciation if we don't have the good and the bad. So living through things creates an appreciation factor. Also spiritually, you'll find further into the journey, you aren't as connected to assets. You're not as connected to, this could be your location, it could be your furniture, your car, those things. Again, anything you're attracting, it's going on inside first. So when we're having this dynamic where we're feeling, if I speak my truth, there will be a consequence for an action. That's true. But if we're always operating from that, we choose not to change, and then universe has to take direct action. So where we do actually have a situation, a scenario where we need to communicate that truth. And I do predict in 2020, probably I'm feeling from October onwards, and it's been odd the way my transition's been this year. Because it hasn't been that I don't get downloads or anything, but operation wise, it's been very difficult to come to you guys. Now, my prediction of what I'm sensing is for many TFs on a very separate subject matter, when you guys do reach reunion state is when you're going to need my support more so, and other spiritual advisors. So, far beyond the ego for that point. But from my experience of what I've been through, I know that the triggers come in hard and sharp. Yes, you have evolved, but spiritually, all of those triggers come back at once. But it's your role to then, when you're focusing outside of yourself at a situation, person, place, or thing, when you're getting triggered with all the information, all the purging you've done, to then be able to spiritually speak to yourself and say, check yourself. Are you focusing too much on another? And finances has really come up in the last 3 weeks. And I know this spiritually come up for me. And I found myself doing that, going, hey, hang on a minute. Why are you focusing on another individual? You can have an opinion, you can have a vibration, you can bounce ideas off each other, especially in TF journey. But when you're looking at a person, if you're living in the past, you're still purging. If you're living in the future, you are preparing. There's different preparing, okay? There's preparing of, I'm in fear-based frequency, I've lived too many disasters, therefore I am trying to move people, places, and things to never have to experience that vibration again. That is an area that needs to be purged because it's still a spiritual blockage. If you have actually dealt with that, you're no longer living in the future or the past, because you're choosing to be in the here and now. And that even goes with interactions with TF. That when you're doing that, you check yourself and you bring yourself back in and say, hey, you have power. You have the ability to manifest, to co-create, to balance, to get your energy to a balanced point in a storm. And I did mention at the beginning of the year, I wanted to become like a Buddhist monk. How do we do that? It's because with the vibrations and the astrology, your ascension symptoms were harder from the beginning of the year, and they have been for 3 years. And it's almost like we look to our spiritual advisors and say, please tell me next year is going to be better. Yes, when we move, it gets better each stage because we can't ever go backwards. So yes, it does, but it's believing that frequency and making the very best of the good days you have. Being grateful in gratitude for that and knowing that you physically have the power to transform all of those energies. For this morning, oh, look, I'm telling you, it's been really interesting. I've had to do a lot of balancing, actually. Children and I are now all living together. So, balancing that has been quite unique, but it is coming. Happy to see you too, Femme Coach. And I even pulled out my app the other day, which I haven't used since the beginning of the year, where I can do the interviewing and things to that degree. And the subject matter of the numerology coming up, those are videos, yes, I'm doing. It's balancing this foundation moving forward so I can do those things. But, all of us energetically are changing. And it's what that new thing's going to be. It will be new, whatever it's going to be, especially coming from me for you guys. But all of you collectively are changing. You do need to be mindful that this month is pretty full on energetically. There's going to be lots of endings, lots of shifts and changes. Some of you will experience panic attacks, okay? Some of you might be purging off things that you hadn't thought of and they just crop up and you could be driving past somewhere. I mean, synchronistically speaking, I had to go and pick something up the other day. And yes, my dad's passed away, and uniquely I ended up passing a shopping centre, the street, a place I lived, a place I went to primary school, and it's very similar to the Pluto energy. And it was bang, bang, bang. And it doesn't have to be a direct 3D ending. It already theoretically ended many moons ago. I'm not at primary school anymore. I don't live in that area anymore. But it's the revelation inside your mind of that cycle ended a long time ago. But we hold on to those things. right? And when you finally get to a place and a space where you're going, it exists and exists in a memory, but it is a new chapter. We have endings every day. We just don't look at it because we have been purging so much that we physically don't give ourselves enough time to check that situation. Now, the one thing I have noticed, and it's definitely to people who are awakening at the moment, it's crucial that when things come up for you, you don't push it down. You allow it to come up. We should have learnt this by now, because when you bury those things and you don't take time, it comes back. It will come back and rear its ugly head, and it's like putting it in a suitcase. Yeah, I'll deal with that later. And you move your energy onto other things to keep you busy. It's very, very unhealthy. You are not less important than your finances. You are not less important than the next Joe Blog, mother, father, brother, sister. If at points in life you don't give that to yourself, it's going to tax you, and it's necessary to do that spiritual work. If that means taking a moment, it means taking a moment, and you must do that. So especially through this transit, we're assessing things, but with the scorpionic energy coming through, you're going to be able to dig deep into what is important. What does this all mean? Why is this all happening? How do we look at this? Clarity is going to come to the surface, and you might even understand why people were operating in particular ways. It's like a detective of the zodiac, the scorpionic energy. But you do need to be prepared for these endings, but don't be afraid by them. I had many situations in my life where I deemed them as tower moments and potentially universe was punishing me. No, it wasn't. It was not necessarily saying that. It was more saying it's not the right time, or we're protecting you, or you need to understand something before you can proceed forward. It's a bit like taking a backpack on a hike in the Sahara Desert with no water. Yet you're proceeding forward and going, no, but the door's closed. I can't proceed. Why does this keep happening? You forgot the water, okay? So there's things in a puzzle that need to come together at a theoretical level, right? For these things to transpire. You do need to trust the process. When you're scared, look at the traffic lights, right? Red is your foundation. You're triggered, you're angry, faulty towers is coming down. It's red. Stop. Look at the foundation. Get yourself grounded. Yellow, which is our power core sense in the chakra. It's our ability to react. You know, the yellows and the oranges are the ability to react, the ability to manifest, but it's also at a heightened position. It can be where we fall into addictions, we fall into codependent patterns, can go into victim consciousness. Yellow, pause and meditate about where that power belongs. Is it on your side of the fence? Is it on another's? How can you look at this situation? Then look at the green, which is proceeding forward, but it's also green as heart chakra. Come from a place of what is going to be best, but be the best for you. Not from an egoic experience, but from a compassionate aspect that you've looked at all sides before proceeding forward. So definitely balance your chakras this week. Be very cognitive of aggressive people around you. They don't mean to be. It is a very egoic week. It can be very much where you are seeing things very differently now, and that's okay. Check what you're seeing, jot it down, work through it. There are revelations that are going to come to the surface, and this is a very karmic month. Now, my anticipation is between now and the end of the year, because we're having more eclipses, many people who have been out of contact are going to get into contact. Many changes will be happening in location, homes, finance, movement, belief systems in a very short pocket of time. especially with the astrology. If you have paperwork you need to get in order, get it bloody done now. And I'm not a financial advisor. Look at the astrology. Astrology is beautiful in a sense that it looks at the positioning of the planets. It refers back to a historical time when that happened prior, and they can refer to that to predict or anticipate potentially what the subject matter could be. Definitely finances are going to come up. Definitely subject matters between the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn are coming up because our eclipses were in that, and each eclipse holds the frequency of 6 months. Now then you have Pluto and Saturn working, which are the father figure of universe and the detective of the universe, of what to bring to an end, what to bring to your attention. Now we've had them in retrograde, right? Morning. We've had them in retrograde, they're going direct, they're teaming up, they're moving forward. The Scorpion energy is going to help you see things differently. It's going to help you understand things and weigh it up. Get your paperwork in order because we will have Mercury going retrograde. That is going to be interesting. But when you do look at the other aspects, which I was talking to Mark about the other day, especially if you're following your intuition, you'll notice you're moving, you're doing things, you're getting things in order. You're feeling this rush. It's a bit like nesting. Trust your body. It's a vibration. If you're being guided to do something, have a good relationship with your intuition. Trust your gut. Any questions while I'm here? And after all readings, I always clear myself. And I'd done this before I started because I had a reading prior. Any questions while I'm here? And yes, I'm in my pajamas because I finished a reading. It was a telephone reading, but I had to give you guys this information. I didn't want you guys to not have this because it is a very trigger point month. Your communication also can be quite distorted at the moment, but it's not going to be permanently. It's a very high stars moon. It's a very interesting month. Let me put it that way. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's like hermit mode. Pause, reflect. Like I said, the traffic lights, red. I just came on, don't know what I missed. A lot of different things. Yeah. But you can go back to the beginning and you can watch it. It's going to give you some information about 2020. It's going to give you some information about the astrology, the energy that's been coming up. I feel very angry and unattractive. Oh, girl, I feel you. Yeah, look, I felt that way today. I felt like a sloppy Joe Ma. But it's because we're very 3D getting things done. And it's like, you know, getting it done and chuck the hair up. And it's like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. Hi, Steph. It is. It's full on. Just be practical. Move away from the ego. Who gives two hoots? Just do what you got to do. Do you know what I mean? Just be. Do what you got to do. And if you need a bit of time out and you chuck your feet up and have a cuppa, just do that. Our pretty can come back later. We've got too much crap going on. I don't think anyone's feeling pretty right about now. Okay, with the traffic lights, are you saying what we are seeing is the universe is trying to tell us? Yes, it is. It's trying to tell you something. So sensing, feeling, trust that intuition, develop that relationship with your intuition. It's your psychic gift. Again, I will do videos on it, and I do want to help you guys actually utilize the energy you have, which is ways that the past over communicate with you, different gifts you may have, and as you work on those areas, other areas will wake up. So once you develop the intuitive aspect, other areas will wake up, and then it could be you sense things, you hear things, you feel things. It all develops the next gift. I had to develop mine merely because I was so frightened of what I'd say. Kept it very hush-hush growing up. It was quite frightening childhood. But then I met synchronistically people that would help me develop that further. Why the anger towards my TF? Look, you're not just going to feel anger towards TF, trust me. The Aries energy is the planet of war going on right now, and you're going to feel a whole lot of I can't be. Yeah. So it's be aware of that, but check what's coming up, because whatever's coming up in you is, how do I put it? Whatever you're sensing of them, it's in you. And we hate to admit that, but it's something we believe. What is the anger about? And I'll give you an example. I'll try and get to the root. What is the anger in relation to? Joy of twin flame journey. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm gonna blah, blah, blah. I had to say to my twin, I said, look, I'm tired. I am doing too much. And I think all of us are. It is very busy. But be proud of yourselves, because you're achieving more than you knew you could. You'll complete it. And I did say this, you're going to complete tasks that would usually take a year. It's quite fast paced. Movement is large. Movement's going to be large. He can't do anything for himself. Then don't enable. And it'll come back to something that you believe that is your role. Okay. Yesterday was bad feeling for ending of relationships. Yes, I agree. There was endings in that scenario for me, but endings in different ways. I mean, I'm angry, frustrated, and had a panic attack last week and have been exhausted. How do I put it? When that's happening, it's purging an ego. It's like when you're sick. What do you need? You get so tired, you're like, I just need food, rest. Oh, I just need water and rest. And you are very, you couldn't give two hoots if you have a pretty leather couch because you're sick, right? So you're just like, I'm sick. I need rest, my tablets, my medication, Nurofen, whatever that be, that the doctor's prescribed, water, rest. Because you're away from your ego, right? So when that happens and a trigger point's coming up, it's for you to detach from the ego, to see the perspective in a different way. I haven't seen him or heard for 7 months. I don't care. I don't want to talk to Ball. Fair enough. And again, it'll change. It does. It just does. It changes because you're so detached. And this is another thing I explained. TF journey gets you to a point you physically do not need anybody. You don't even think it's possible. You don't even think it's possible. You've filled your cup, you've emptied your cup so much that you're going to go back there and replenish it. And by the time you do, you're at such pace with it because you've done everything. You've been the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the risk, therefore, after the fact, is more with a new person than it would be with TF, because they have been the good, the bad, and the bloody ugly. And you're like, why the devil would I even bother hurting a person? Because you have seen hurt, you have felt hurt, you have the empath aspect, and you have compassion, and you have your truth inside, which is, okay, where am I today? Do I love this person still? Okay, let me be honest. Let me be fair to any person. And there's different levels of love. There's no less or more. It's different. So when you're in your truth, you choose not to be with somebody else physically because you don't want to hurt another person. But the karmic energy lives inside us. So what we fear, we attract. Where we're blocked, we co-create till the point we purge that. Once we purge that, look at yourself as a sponge constantly being squeezed. You no longer require anybody. And the only reason you entertain the frequency of love is because you choose to entertain the frequency of love, because you can't break what's broken. You were broken. So once you heal, it's then a choice. And yes, you do have the telepathic communication, but you could never experience that with anybody else because you have been the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you will look at yourself differently on the other side. I have no interest in... Yep. You do get to that. Yeah, because you're upgrading. It will transform. Any other questions from anybody else? Any other subject matters you wish me to cover? Definitely there's a stagnation, but that's where we're at. It's like, okay, we need this transformation. We need these changes. He keeps telling me I have to understand what he's trying to do with his karmic. He says it is not about us right now. We got that. He got her in rehab. Haven't seen each in months. Detach and focus back on yourself and say, no, it's not. While he is looking at a different situation and he's healing it, there is no room for connection. And it doesn't mean there's not a connection. It means he is spiritually choosing to deal with the scenario. And it's love, but it's different love, right? It's an energy of finalizing a chapter. And this is what this month is. It's quite a karmic month. So regardless of how long it's been, don't take it personal. But also understand that you have needs and acknowledge that and be okay with that and step back and say, I'm glad you have brought that to my attention, because while you are doing that, I also will take my energy, the traffic light scenario. Okay, I'm going to do this because that's not, it's not that it's not okay. It's I have self-esteem, right? You're like, sweet, you're going to do that? Cool. Put the gate down. Move over here. Let them do that. They're coming to you. No, you're busy over there. That's cool. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm busy now. Whenever you shift your energy onto you, it alchemizes movement. But you empath, because it's a purge they're having. Now, a person, place, or thing can create that. So forgive, number one. Detach, number two. Allow them to do that. And that is a purge for them. Now, when they come to you and they're saying, oh, this and that's happening, what are you going to do about that? Oh, but this is how it makes me feel. Again, it's codependent until they realize that. And it's not bad that another person's helping another person. We don't owe people if they choose to do that. So a lot of times when you're purging, you're saying, yeah, but I did this for my twin, or I did this for this person, and they owe me. No, you chose to do that, yellow chakra. Stop. Where's your power at? Okay, you had power, you chose, and some of it, no, some things that do happen you didn't have control over. But again, foundation faulty. Yellow, where was your power? It wasn't a you fault issue. Don't worry about it. Forgive, detach, process in the third eye, then come from the heart, heal, and you'll be open and things will come towards you. This person, while they're doing that, that's okay. Now you need to look at how long you've been waiting. And if you've been waiting, do you want to wait? And love yourself enough to step back and start shifting all your energy onto yourself. Don't bother calling. Don't bother texting. Start manifesting the most beautiful life perfectly possible. The energy will shift. And when they come towards you, you're leading by example. And you're having love for them and compassion. You're not judging. They had a connection with a person, whatever that be. That could be a daughter, a brother, a sister. If they're sorting a situation, they're going to find healing in that by detaching and allowing that person to be themselves and to make a choice, because you can't control what another person does. And that's why I say to us, me too. When you're talking to a person and you're like, I've been holding this up, hoping it's going to get better. It takes two to tango, right? Not one person can hold a ship up. It takes two to make that happen. If it's not, at some point, your throat chakra is going to go and you're going to say something. But your fear-based frequency is there's going to be a consequence for an action. The consequence for an action you have no control over. You have control over your ship. And it's scary to acknowledge that, because the word no is something that we don't use. The outcome is something we fear because it feels like punishment. Because are we going to be acceptable enough? Are we going to be loved? Is there going to be something that will hurt me more than what's already hurting? But it hurts to do things that you don't like doing. So, why the BS are we doing it? So you retreat back, and you do end up having A, a tower moment, or B, you retreat back. Trust in the process is happening for a reason. It is healing them, but it isn't about love. Okay? It's different. It's ending a chapter. Allow that ending to occur. And don't look at time. Time extends it, trust me. Any other questions? A lot of anger. Okay? There is a lot of anger at the moment. But what's coming up is a key. It's his ex, and I get it, but it's hard. Yes, my mouth. Yeah. Just honestly, shift all your energy back on you. You'll get contact real quick, and some things are shifting. Hey, Christy Lee. How are you? Yeah, it does shift it. You just have to trust. It's not even trusting in the process. It's detaching. It's like, good. I hope you're having fun with that. I understand. And look at where that occurred in your life, where you were helping, enabling, putting your life on hold because you were trying to finalize things. Now, masculine frequencies have transformed, definitely are going through transformations. There is a blockage at the moment with karmic related energy. It's silent. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I won't go too far into that. But there are things that are transpiring in the area. But this is a very karmic ending month in a very aggressive way. My masculine side is so in charge. How do I integrate the feminine? I'm so mad at him. I feel like I get soft. I may forgive him. I'm not ready. Okay, the masculine energy, when we have, as you mentioned, right? Now, when you're mad at them, why? What comes up? The first thing that comes to your mind, because that's the answer. When you're angry at them while you're being in your masculine frequency. Yeah, it's like, look, this person is not understanding. What was my anxiety I felt yesterday, or twins? It will merge, but breathe it out. Remember, I did say, breathe it out. But honestly, and this is very hard until you go through the spiritual process, because I've got to be careful, because I know the Aries energy is very aggressive. So don't bite the messenger. I've gone through that process. Going through that process, when you look at it from an external point of view, like I said, we're looking at the past. You're trying to comprehend why that dream didn't come. Pluto direct is also, but we allowed that frequency, okay? In some aspects, enabling, and we're angry at them, but we're also angry because we've now transformed, we've changed, and we're looking at it. So we potentially are angry with ourselves too, in certain ways in life, right? Because now the energy of who you are, you wouldn't allow that, but we can't avoid being broken. We've broken, right? The masculine aspect of you gets shit done. Hunter-gatherer, gets the jobs done. It is the manifesting energy. It gets things done. When it's overactive, we're not embracing the emotional point of us, our intuitive point of us. So balancing both is to give yourself a time for meditation, a time for feelings and vibrations, and vulnerability, right? Not doing that is not acknowledging the fact that you are vulnerable, you have feelings, you get hurt, you are not 20 people. And to feel that emotion and to feel overwhelmed at times and be okay with that. And the hurt, really, when you dig deep, it's that you need that person with you right now. You feel that life would feel stronger with the person you love by your side. You would feel more courage to proceed forward. But what you love is what you fear, right? Because you have been hurt and you don't want to go through that again. Yeah. Yes. But see, The people we hurt, we think it's each other, but it's actually ourselves, and that's even masculines. So while you're angry, what you're not understanding is the hurt that you experienced, the hurt they created towards themselves. So the piece, when you do that process mentally, is that the things that we do is because we feel less. So when you get less, it's because they, most of the energy I do with twins is more one-on-one. We dig to the root, we look at the perspectives. Fem Coach knows this. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But, you know, if you're looking at twin flame journey, you've got to be honest with yourself. Can you look at another person? If you can purge your twin, you can proceed forward. That's with any person. But if it doesn't purge, it's a TF, right? Don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you're angry, state what it is. Call a pot a pot. Oh, anyway, who cares? Any other questions? Some people really seriously need to get a life. I wonder if they have a job. Is it stalking YouTube channels? Still no contact from DM. If he reaches out in 5D, I'm trying to take a deep breath and release. Look, when a person comes to life, like attracts like, you're ready for the vibration, you're ready for the connection, so just trust in the you're ready for the vibration, you're ready for the connection, so just trust in the process. Did I entertain you, Yamas? But it is 10:30. This is late for me these days, jeez. 10:30. This is late for me these days, jeez. I wake up at 4:15. My beautiful family in Europe calling me. I'm fine. I'm after 3 years to it. That's okay. Okay. Anyway, love and light, everyone. Again, if you are needing a booking, the link is below. By next week. I'll also be coming back to do live for each element again, and I will do each element and then tune into, obviously, the energy coming through, tune into each zodiac sign within that element. I can see my changes. I'm sure he's different. Oh, look, my twin's completely different. I had to get to know him all over again. That was harder than all of what was. That isn't. Blimmin' internet. Okay, guys, take very good care. If you haven't listened to the beginning of the video, go back because it is talking about the astrology. It's also talking about the current energy and some techniques that you can actually use. I still will be coming to you guys again live very soon. But I wanted to give this tonight, okay? So I wanted to give you guys an update as to the astrology, how Pluto's affecting us, Mars, the energy, the planet of war, the frequency of what's coming up with that, and how